A senior IMF official says Kenya's economic growth rate will slow in 2017 from about 6% last year due to sluggish credit growth and as investors take a wait-and-see attitude before a presidential election in August. Armando Morales, the International Monetary Fund's representative in Kenya, says growth is likely to remain within the 5 to 6% range of the past 5 years, despite the slowdown. The government capped commercial lending rates at 400 basis points above the central bank's lending rate last September, hurting already stressed private sector credit growth. President Uhuru Kenyatta is seeking his second and final term in office in an election on August the 8th. He is expected to face off with his main rival, Raila Odinga.
We expect a deceleration of growth for several reasons, but the most important reason I think that we are considering is the potential impact of the interest rate caps on credit growth. We believe that this reasonable deceleration is not like the economy is going to lose momentum, it's only that there are other factors at play. And especially we are concerned about the potential impact of the interest rate caps on growth. If those numbers are based on data that is still very preliminary, as you know, this law was introduced in September, so it's only been a few months. But that's why I think I want to emphasize more the direction that we anticipate for the economy rather than a fixed number that I can give you today.
As global political, business and civil rights leaders converge in Davos, Switzerland for the 47th World Economic Forum, aid group Oxfam has released what it calls the Global Inequality Report. Briefing the media in Johannesburg, Oxfam South Africa urges the leaders that it's time to build a human economy that benefits everyone, not just a privileged few. Our South Africa Bureau Chief, Betty Dibia, reports.
At Oxfam South Africa.
The report, which claims that just 8 men own as much wealth as half of the world, says the gap between the world's rich and poor is far greater than feared. The group is asking for more responsive and responsible leadership, as this year's World Economic Forum theme states.
We believe that in a human economy, we should be able to measure social progress and prosperity in a manner that's more meaningful and holistic and moves away from this dogged focus on the rise in the rate of growth of output. We believe that a productionist and consumerist logic should cease to guide how human-to-human relations in a material sense are conducted. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is the human economy we envisage.
With the pressure of economic development bearing down heavily on many African countries, there are suggestions of a to-do list to change things for the better.
One of the most important things is to really sort of reconnect with some of the commitments that are made as part of AU Agenda 2063 around this question of inequality, but also around greater coordination between African countries on questions of labor and the free movement of labor and goods between the countries, but also on the question of taxes. I think it's about time we speak from an African perspective about the importance of doing away, for instance, with tax havens and sort of some of the areas where people can avoid taxation and leave some of their money.
I hope that the people are going from our continent to Davos is to bring to the table these kinds of pressures that we are absorbing as the continent, but also to talk about people's experiences. When you're talking about inequality, we're not just talking about numbers. We're not talking about the richest 50%. These are not just numbers. We're talking about people's lives. We're talking about millions and billions of people in the whole continent who are affected by this 1% that's going to be at Davos.
The Davos summit begins on the 17th of this month and ends on the 20th. Some observers are hoping it will go beyond the talk shop for the elite and yield commitments that will help bridge the global inequality gap. From Johannesburg, South Africa, Betty Dibia, Channels Television News.
In the world of sports, it does seem the African Cup of Nations tournament holding in Gabon is suffering a shortage of goals. Defending champion Côte d'Ivoire yesterday settled for a 0-0 draw with Togo as Morocco lost 1-0 to the Democratic Republic of Congo. The DRC joins Senegal as the only team to have won a game. Morocco's coach Yves Renard, the Frenchman who led Côte d'Ivoire to win the title in 2015, expressed disappointment at Monday's play.
It was not an easy game, but we didn't concede a lot of opportunities, but only one was enough for DRC to score. We were not efficient in the box offensively. We have some chances and we didn't score. So in football, what is very important is to be efficient, and we were not this evening.
Tripoli residents have voiced concern after western Libya was plunged into darkness last weekend. This comes as a blackout already affecting the south spread to the capital and other major cities. The National Power Company, GECOL, said in a statement that the blackout extended from Libya's western border with Tunisia to the city of Ajabia, nearly 900 kilometers to the east.
This is the first time in recent memory that the whole of the western region, where most of Libya's 6.3 million inhabitants live, had its power cut. But Tripoli residents voiced concern over the situation, placing the blame on politicians.
What can I say? This is the country's current situation. It goes from bad to worse after 3 governments, several parliaments and ministers. There is no electricity, there is no water. People are living in poverty, and politicians just fight amongst each other. It's a disaster.
Others compared their situation to Somalia.
The power has been cut for 17 hours, from 6 p.m. last night to 6 a.m. this morning. Add another 5 hours. It will be 17 hours. This is all on purpose. We are living a disaster. Our living situation is worse than Somalia.
Tripoli and other cities in the west and south have been plagued by repeated and lengthy power cuts for months, and the south has been suffering a general blackout for at least the past 4 days. The National Power Company, GECOL, did not mention the closure nearly a week ago of a gas pipeline in Zawiya, but it had earlier warned that stoppage could trigger a general blackout if diesel fuel temporarily supplying the western city's power plant ran out. Officials have previously blamed the power cuts on technical problems, damage from Libya's low-intensity military conflict, sabotage and distortions to electricity supply caused by armed groups diverting scarce power to their own neighborhoods. The power cuts have contributed to the fragility of a UN-backed government that arrived in Tripoli last March, but has failed to unite rival factions or halt a slide in living standards.
And that's it on Network Africa. Many thanks for watching. I'm Temi Tokwe Fagbini.